What's up, YouTube? It's John Talks here with another episode of JonTalksTv. Before we get in the video, if you could subscribe, like, it would be greatly appreciated. Let's get into it. So the first player I want to start with is Cole Anthony, who I think obviously was being slept on. One of my favorite reactions was Sada Babies from Detroit, and he said, he's like, why the fuck, when the Pistons get on, do we not take Cole Anthony? And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? He has a point. This guy is a serious scorer. This guy is elite, with his 3-level scoring. And he was injured. He had a knee injury his last year in college. And so he said himself he wasn't 100% his closing out the season. So I think we haven't really seen the last of him. Just to highlight a few of his skills, he's a physical guard. He can get to the basket. And he's a 3-level scorer. Now, there's inefficiency there. He did not shoot a good percentage. 34% career overall in shooting. Now, he only spent a season at North Carolina, and he was injured, as I mentioned. So there's just a lot that we didn't see, and there could be a lot still there. Nobody really knows. The last thing I wanted to highlight was he was the number 1 player coming into college. Above LaMelo, above all these guys. He was number 1. Now, the inefficiency, the lack of IQ at some point and awareness, I get, and that affected his stock. But I think the injury combined with he's not really a college type of player. Honestly, a player like him probably should have went overseas, play professional somewhere, because I don't really think the college game really was good for showing off what he could do. But let's move on to the next guy, Malachi Flynn. Now, this was one of the surprises I threw in, and I think that you guys would think it's a surprise too. But to all you Raptors fans, you guys got to be happy, because this guy is a natural scorer. Watching his highlights, you can just tell he has that instinct coming into the league that a lot of players 7-8 years may not even achieve, and he's only 22 years old. So I think he's going to compete with Fred VanVleet for time and Kyle Lowry for time on the court. He's going to compete for actual time. So I wanted to highlight some things about his game, just his physicality and what he's going to bring. Now, there was some knocks on his lack of athleticism, his lack of size, his lack of youth. But I think all those things, when you look at his 17 point per game average, he won player of the year in his conference and defensive player of the year in his conference. I think when you look at those things, it kind of just doesn't matter. It's like, dude, he's in your face. I think we've gone through this so much where we've seen guys that may be a little bit older in college, but who cares? Buddy Hield. He spent 4 years. So what? He's a dominant, good scorer, good shooter, dominant shooter. So I think this guy is going to really burst onto the scene, and come preseason, I'll be here to make more videos on Cole Anthony and Killian Hayes and Malachi Flynn and how these guys are doing. But I think these guys are going to burst onto the scene. And it doesn't matter what you guys say in the comment section, because these guys are going to come on the court and they're going to prove it. I have a lot of guys telling me, Killian Hayes isn't Luka Doncic. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, that's fine. You have not seen Killian Hayes on the court. Wait till he does get on the court. Because nobody was talking about Luka Doncic besides the niggas in Europe. Not over here, bro. Nobody was talking about Luka Doncic over here like that. Just like nobody's talking about Killian Hayes like that, because we don't watch those players. That's my segue into Killian Hayes. It's a lot of haters, and I want to say this to Fly TV. If you're out there, if you're listening, you got that Derrick Rose thing going, and I love it. I love Derrick Rose. I've been a fan of Detroit my whole life. He's 32. I want to see him win a championship. Go trade him. As long as he's on the Pistons, he's not going to win a championship. So why would you want to see him drive his ankles into the ground? Because he's playing on graham crackers already. You want to see him drive his ankles into the ground on a shitty fucking team for no reason. because selfish reasons, because you want to see his highlights every day. The reality is, if Killian Hayes is James Harden, he needs to start. You heard what I said. They're comparing him to James Harden. Let us see. We know what Derrick Rose has done. He's an MVP player. I love Derrick Rose. But we got to see this kid, Killian Hayes. So one thing I did want to say about him is this. He's got a little bit of Goran Dragic. He's got a little bit of D'Angelo Russell. He's got a little bit of James Harden. And he's got a little bit of Manu Ginobili. I have been screaming this on top of my lungs. He's a professional player. He's going to burst onto the scene. You guys just wait. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. I love you guys.